Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm just going to show you how to make quick homemade like refried beans. Right now I'm boiling the beans, brown pinto beans. They take, depending on how much beans you want to cook, anywhere from 2 to 3 hours, and I just fill it up with water and add some salt and let them boil until they're soft. Next I'll show you how to actually squish them and turn them into refried beans. Alright, so the beans are done, and you could tell they're soft and a slightly different color. I usually just taste one to make sure it has enough salt and to make sure that they're completely done. But it's really a simple thing to do. It just takes a while to cook, but you just kind of leave it alone and let it do its thing. Now I have some oil heating up in a pan. About that much oil, just some vegetable oil. You can use whatever you want to cook beans. People use different things, like lard or whatever you want to use. I used to use lard, but it's very fattening, so I started using just oil. You will need some kind of oil though to cook the beans. Oil, I am gonna throw a couple of these. You can throw over how much you want, but it's just to add flavor. It doesn't really spice it up at all. So like I said, you just throw them in the oil. I'm also gonna add some jalapenos, just because my boyfriend does like it spicy, and I throw them in there while the oil is heating up. Just make sure you're really careful, because the juice from the jalapenos in the hot oil will pop everywhere. So be very careful and make sure you don't have the fire too high, because the oil could pop out and start a fire, which I have done. So be very careful. And I'm just gonna let the oil get the flavor from these dried chilies and the jalapenos, and then I'm gonna add the beans here in a minute. So after it's been a couple minutes of the jalapenos and the chilies cooking, I'm just gonna take a spoon. Now be very careful, because this will pop, as you can hear it. And you're just gonna add beans. Really, however much you plan on making. And make sure you also grab some of the juice, because then the beans will be dry. I think that's about as much as I'm gonna make. So yeah, I'm gonna let the beans, even though they're cooked, I'm gonna let them boil with the oil, like cook in the oil and with the jalapenos and the chili to get flavor. I won't add any salt or anything, because I already did that when I actually cooked the beans. But after they boil for a couple minutes, and it's strong boil, see, it's boiling around the edges, but it's not boiling in the middle yet. So you want to bring it to like a really strong boil, and then you're gonna just take a masher and mash them. As you can see, it's at a really strong boil now, and you just take whatever masher you use, and while the beans are still on, you just mash, and this will take a little while. It's okay to mash the jalapenos, but this is just for flavor. You don't actually eat it, the red chilies. So I try to avoid the best I can not mashing those. So I'm going to mash them and show you what they look like in the end. Alright, so they are all mashed. They might look a little watery, but as they sit, they will thicken up. That's why I said you need to add some of the water, because if you're preparing other food and they just sit here, they will get a lot thicker. But that's about the consistency I like mine. You can mash them more or less, whatever you prefer. But these are like a really good like side to have, especially if you're more into like Mexican dishes, or Latino dishes, whatever you wanna, however you wanna say. But I'm making tostadas today, so I am gonna be using these to put on my tostadas. But I do make them like in the morning with some fried eggs, or I will sometimes cook chorizo and eggs and eat it, or even chorizo and beans. That's another way to cook these kind of beans, is with chorizo. And there's just several different dishes you can eat this with. So yeah, it's very easy, very simple, and it tastes really good, and it's a lot better than the canned. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and stay positive.